So hello, welcome back to MTGID. This time I'm gonna use English and try to use English even though my English is not that really great, because I want to approach many audience from maybe another country, because this is a deck tag. Right, so if I use Indonesian, maybe some people want to make this deck too, but they doesn't understand this language. That's why I use English. Maybe next time I use it bahasa, but I use subtitle in the below this part to make the subtitles. So this time I'm gonna talk about the Locust God. So it's a really great card to make it a commander, because it was a flyer god with a great power and a great toughness, and it has an effect that we gonna get an insect flyer with haste token just by drawing a card. So just by draw a card we get a token, and also it can bounce back to our hand if it dies, so it doesn't need to pay the commander tax again and again if it dies. So it's really great. So let's check it out, my gameplay. Not my gameplay, but my tag. I mean, sorry. Check it out.
So I will discuss about this deck in many parts, but I will not insert it like the combo cards in the placing. Like example, the cards of the combo is an artifact. I will not insert it first in the artifact. So first we're gonna talk about the mana base. So mana base is consists with the lands and artifacts. The lands will consist of 34 lands, and 27 of it is the basic land. So there is 7 cards that non-basic lands, like Common Tower, Reliquary Tower, so we can have unlimited hand because we will draw a lot in this deck, and Sulphur Falls, Swiftwater Cliff, Shivan Reef, Izzet Ghoul Guide, and Temple of Efficiency. So it's all the blue and red mana from the land. So next is the artifacts. The artifacts I'll be using is Sol Ring, Izzet Signet, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, and then Heraldic Banner. If we read it, it says that we can tap it for mana, and we get +1 per +0, so we can buff our all insect tokens. Talisman of Creativity, then the next is Tyrant Dynamo, Urn Power Stone, Thought Vessel, and Thought Vessel is also for the unlimited hand. So now we gonna talk about the artifacts that not mana based one. So the first one is Teferi Puzzle Box. If we read it, it says that we kind of filter the cards, like we get the card, then we put it in the bottom, then we draw again. Kinda says that we draw 14 cards even though we got 7 in our hand. It counts like create 14 flyers in a turn. Then the second is Magic Mirror. Maybe if we read it, it's 6 mana and 3 blue mana. It's quite big. 9 mana is actually big. But remember, in this deck we wheel a lot, so we filter many cards to our graveyard, and when there's instant and sorcery in our graveyard, it can reduce the cost for the Magic Mirror, so it can just be cast for 3 blue mana, and it counts as additional draw. It's upkeep we have, and it helps us for no maximum hand size also. Then the third is Library of Length. It counts also for the no maximum hand size, and it says that if we discard something, we can put it in the top of our deck. So it counts like we wheel the cards and put it in the graveyard. We can keep the good cards in the top, so we can put it again in our hands, and it's really good. And the fourth card is Neuric Stealth Suit, so it makes our Commander Shroud, and just for 2 mana we can attach it to another creature if we want to. And the fifth is Slate of Ancestry. It's just 4 mana, we can tap it, discard our hands to draw card each our creature, so it will doubles our tokens. Then our enchantments. Of course, I already said that I don't want to be overpriced, but I gonna include some cards that expensive now, but it's really good in this deck and must use, like Ristic Study. Ristic Study is really good, like when people doesn't want to pay for the tax, we draw and we got a token, so people will be really want to pay. So this Ristic Study is really important because people will want to pay, so we doesn't draw and doesn't get the tokens. So maybe because this Ristic Study and they pay the mana, there's no mana left for to handle us later, because their mana is used just to pay the tax. And the same example is be used for Mystic Remora. And then Memorial is also an enchantment that's really great, because each time we cast a spell, we get to wheel our cards. We wheel with our spell or creature, we can wheel again, so it's double effect. So we draw a lot by that. Fourth card is Impact Tremor and the fifth is Goblin Bombardment. So Impact Tremor is dealing 1 damage creature that enters the battlefield. So when we draw, people deal damage. It sounds like that because each draw we get a token and a token enters the battlefield. Goblin Bombardment, it's sack a creature and deal 1 damage. This Goblin Bombardment is really great because we can attack first then we sack it, or even it can deal damage when people using cards like Propaganda, so we cannot attack them, so we can just sack our creatures to win the game. And the next one is in Sun and Sorceries that we use. The first is Windfall, Tolarian Winds, Reforce the Soul. And Reforce the Soul is kinda expensive, but it's Miracle only for 2 mana and it's really good. And like Tolarian Winds, it's instant speed, man, and it's 2 mana. And then Flux. So there is also a will effect that can also be a removal spell, like Faithful Showdown, like Channel Force and Molten Sight. We will and deal damage. It's really good, so we can have a removal in this deck too and still focus on the objective that we have. And there's cards that we really need to use wheel, but we keep our deck still stabilized. So when we doesn't have a card that save us, or our deck is really low, we can use this kind of cards like Echo of Eons. So it's a card that can make us return our graveyards to our deck. And Echo of Eons has flashback, even that card is milled by wheeling, still it has a flashback. And Time Reversal is the same but a cheaper card. And cards like Will of Fate is really good, but you can consider to use it because it needs 4 turns to activate. And there's cards that we need to use Fanda Blast because we maybe have trouble because there's a lot of artifacts in the battlefield because it helps other people, so we need to destroy it. And we need to put like Distant Melody. So it says that sorcery for 4 mana total, draw for each creature type that we have. So it means that for example we have 20 creatures of insects. So we draw 20 cards from it and gain 20 more insect tokens. And of course we need cards that we need to counter stuff like Swan Song, Counter Flux, Reality Shift so we can exile something, Rapid Hybridation and Pongify to destroy a creature that really trouble us, Dream Fracture, and the best counter spell is called Counter Spell because it's just a mana. Arcane Denial is really good in this deck because we can counter and we draw a card. And then the best is Cyclonic Rift because what else? What we can say? Just 7 mana overloaded. And now we enter for the creature cards. The creatures that we use is Whirlpool Warrior. It counts as 2 times Wheel and Jace Artifice, Forgotten Creation, Arjun the Shifty Flame, Concentrated Sphinx, Whirlpool Rider, Whirlpool Drake, Magus of the Jar, and Archaeomancer. Jace Artifice is really good just for 1 mana we wheel. Forgotten Creation is wheeling, each upkeep we wheel. Arjun the Shifting Flame is really good because it counts like Mind Moil. And why we need use creature like this, because for me these creatures can count as a blocker, even though if we have a lot of insects, but sometimes we need more blockers so we can focus the insects for attack and then these creatures just for the blocks. Then I insert Archaeomancer because so we can return great instant sorceries or will effects from our graveyard. So the last part I gonna talk is the combo and the win cons that we can put in this deck. First is Psychosis Crawler. It deals 1 damage to each opponent when we draw. So when we draw a lot, we can deal damage. Why I'm not saying that Impact Tremor is good? Because Impact Tremor needs the creature to be enter the battlefield. Not like Psychosis Crawler. When we doesn't have our commander, we cannot make insect tokens and we cannot deal damage even though Impact Tremor in the field. So if there's no commander, we cannot put any creature and Impact Tremor really make us lose because there's no damage output. But in this deck we'll really wheel a lot and draw a lot outside our commander. So even though there's no commander, we can still win by Psychosis Crawler. And the second thing is Skull Clamp and Ashnod Altar as a combo. So the combo goes like this. Skull Clamp is cast just for 1 mana, and just for 1 mana 2 we can equip it to a creature to make it +1 and -1. And if the creature is dead, we draw 2 cards. And you know the insect has a toughness of 1. So when it's -1, it's dead. So we draw 2 cards and make 2 more tokens from our commander skill. And Ashnod Altar is an artifact with 3 mana. To get 2 mana free from Ashnod Altar, we need to sacrifice 1 creature. The first step of this combo is sack 1 of your insects to get 2 mana from Ashnod Altar. The first free mana is used to equip the insect, so we gonna draw. Then we get 2 more tokens. Then we use another free mana to equip it to another insect. Then you get 2 more. So it loops and we gonna get a lot of infinite draw, infinite mana. And the fourth and the fifth is Laboratory Maniac and the Planeswalker Jace. Both of them is used really good if the cards of we have is 0 library or our decks. So when we are deck outing ourselves by willing, we can win by just discard. So it's must include in this deck. And the 6th and 7th card of the combo is Dramatic Reversal and Isekron character, so it's also an infinite mana outlet. I will try to explain it. First, we need to have at least 3 artifacts before we set up this combo. Isochron Scepter says that we imprint instant sorcery to it, so we imprint Dramatic Reversal, and just paying 2 mana we can cast Dramatic Reversal again. So if we have 3 artifacts, we can use the 2 mana of the artifact to cast the Dramatic Reversal again and again. So each loop we get 1 extra mana, so it's infinite mana. So what is the use of infinite mana? Sometimes people are forgotten the Locust God has an effect. For 2 mana and a blue and a red, we can loot. We can use the infinite mana to loot until we have no cards left. Then we can use Laboratory Maniac in Jace. And this blue and red deck is really good because blue also can search for artifact by Trophy Mage for tutoring Ashnod Altar. Second is Trinket Mage for searching Skull Clamp. The third is Fabricate, so we can search for any artifact that we want. And Tribute Mage for Isochron Scepter. So the 8th card is Coat of Arms. It's really good for its example. If you have 10 creatures, 10 insects, each insects you have is 10 per 10. Just for 10 tokens, you absolutely gonna win. And the final card is Nexus of Fate. It says that we got extra turn and the card is returning to our deck. So each time we wheel our cards, even though it's our hand and it's entering the graveyard, that card is always put in the deck. And even we cast it, it enter the deck. Because we wheel a lot, our deck will be really low. So it's like an infinite turn because we gonna meet it again and again because we wheel it a lot. We wheel our cards a lot, so we will meet Nexus of Fate a lot.
So how is the deck I make? But there's a lot of playstyle and you can make another combo win cons from it. There's a lot of cards that you can use. It depends on your budget and your playstyle. So this is my deck. Hope you enjoy it, and ciao from me. See you.